over the air conditioning, we'll hold it over.
Okay, in regards to tonight, I'm not passing any paper around there. I'll ask for a mover and a seconder there because the king don't want the paper moving back and forth.
That's fine.
Try to keep it to a minimum there. So as is the quorum of council president at 10:06 p.m. be resolved as regular meeting, the open business and regular meeting of May 13, 2020 be approved. Randy, you move it there?
Yes.
Kim,
Susan?
gosh, maybe we already can't there. Then we're gonna start talking about money. All in favor? Carry. Okay, in regards to the audit, so welcome there, Roxanne there and Mr. Bain there. Have you been with this firm for very long, or are you just starting in accounting business?
Actually, before, if I understood the question, you were asking if we've been in business for a long time.
Yes.
Before we changed, essentially Baker Tilly has only been our name since January 7, 2019. Before that, we were Collins Barrow. And our firm has actually been, I think we're celebrating our 70th anniversary in about next year or the year after. So we have been around for a while, and I've actually been with the firm 29 years this year.
Good. In regards to the paper there's more paper this year than last year. Is that the way accounting is being done now?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Yeah.
There's more paper than last year.
We do our presentations a little bit differently, I guess.
Okay, good. Okay, you go ahead there. Can we ask questions as you're giving the presentation, or you want us to wait to the end?
No, I'd rather you ask the questions as we go, so that way we can deal with the matter then and there.
Okay.
It would be my pleasure to answer the questions for sure.
Okay, perfect. So go ahead.
Am I okay to say?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, thank you, everybody. I was really hoping for an opportunity to be able to present face-to-face instead of through this medium, but I guess it's better than nothing. At least you can see who we are, who has been doing the audit. I do want to thank council and staff. I know this is our first year audit. It was a little bit more of a challenge, first year audits always, but put that into perspective with the fact that we did the audit remotely. It really added a layer of extra complexity for the staff, and they did an amazing job. Anything we asked, they did it immediately, and it made our job so much easier. We were thrilled when we found out that we had the audit for the municipality. Personally, I have a tie to the Massey area. My husband's family's from there. So it was really exciting for me to be able to be part of the community, even if it's one other small little way in doing the audit. So very happy to be with you tonight. So you've all received a copy of our presentation that we're going to go through tonight, as well as a full copy of the audited statement, the draft copy of it. So I'm not going to go through the actual draft financial statements because the PowerPoint does go through some of the highlights. However, if you do have any questions with regards to the financial statements per se or any of the notes, please feel free to ask any questions with regards to it, and I'll gladly answer it. If I can, between Aaron and I will gladly provide you the answers you're looking for. So Aaron, can you share the comparative document, please?
Can everybody see that fine?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. So to start off, in your financial statements, the one part of the statement that belongs to us is the independent auditor's report. That is the purpose of why we do the audit, is to be able to provide the opinion that you're looking for. So the report is in the same format as what you're used to seeing. There was a big change in 2018, but this is, so we are continuing with that format based on what the standards is required. So essentially our opinions, so we have audited the consolidated financial statement of the corporation of the township of Sables-Spanish, which comprise the financial assets. So essentially, the opinion paragraph, in our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements present fairly in all material respects the consolidated financial position of the corporation of the township of Sables-Spanish as of December 31st, 2019, and its consolidated financial performance and its consolidated cash flows for the year ended in accordance with Canadian. I won't go through the rest of the audit report. The only thing we would have added that you wouldn't have seen last year is just another matter paragraph that indicates that the prior year numbers were audited by another auditor. So with regards to the statement of financial position, so this represents your, so just to break it down, so your financial assets as of December 31st, 19 is a total of $7.5 million, of which cash represents almost 5.4. You have taxes receivable of 190, accounts receivables that are broken down between federal, provincial, and other, for a total of about 500,000. You've got term deposits of 1.3 million. You don't have an investment in your government and business enterprises here because that investment was sold in 2019. And you have tax sale properties for 134,000 for the total of 7.5. The following page just pretty much gives a representation of the same numbers that we've just seen, but just in a visual format. So with this, you can easily see that your biggest financial asset is your cash, and then it would be your term deposit. The next part of your statement of financial position is the financial liabilities at December 31st, 2019. So we have a total of 2.9 million. Accounts payable and accrued liabilities represent 578,000. You have deferred revenue of 470,000. Then you have your deferred revenue for obligatory reserve funds, 376. Municipal debt of 774,000, and landfill closure and post-closure liability of 727,000 for a total of 2.9 million. Again, this just visually presents the financial liabilities. So these are a little bit more equally split than what we saw with the financial assets. So you have your short-term borrowings, your deferred revenues, and your liabilities, your accounts payable, accrued liabilities, and landfill are pretty much the equal parts. Part of the statement of financial position also has a net financial asset, which is taking the financial asset less liability, so the previous slides that we've seen. So the net amount of those equals 4.6 million. Then we have our non-financial assets, which represents tangible capital assets. So that's all your infrastructure of 15.5 million. There's a little bit of prepaid expenses of 5,700 and inventory of 64,000 for a total non-financial assets of 15.5 million. So giving us total accumulated surplus at December 2019 of 20.1 million. So that's pretty much the statement of financial position. So before I start with the statement of operations, is there any questions at this point?
No, pretty straightforward.
None? So
No.
hearing none?
Carry on.
No questions, Roxanne?
Carry on? Okay, perfect, thank you. So with regards to your statement of operations, so your statement of operation and accumulated surplus, so this represents your revenue and your expenses for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2019. So this year is just the general line. So revenues was at 7.6 million and your expenses at 7.4 and then you had government transfers related to capital of 511,000, so giving us an excess of revenue over expenses for the year of 733,000. So that is a surplus for the year. If we go on to the next page, now we're going to break down those revenues. So the revenues in total are 8.2 million, which includes the net taxation of 4.1 million. Total government transfers between operating and capital of 2.6, user charges of 719,000, other 260, and then the gain on the sale of the government business 28.2 million. Again, just a visual, so we see that our taxation is a big part of our revenue base as well as our government transfers. With regards to the expenses, so here we have in service lines broken down. So our total expenses for the year were 7.4 million. We had general government at 714,000, protection services 1.1 million, transportation services of 2.3, environmental 1.4, health services of 935, social and family services of 245, and recreation and cultural services of 614, and planning and development of 58,000. Again, now just a representation of the biggest of the expenses by service line. So you have it here where transportation is one of your bigger, and environmental as well as protection. Seem to be your bigger lines of expenses. Next slide just again presents the expenses just broken down now by the type of expenses. So salary and wages and benefits of 1.8 million, long-term debt charges of 26,000, materials, contracted services, rents and financial of 4.6 million, and amortization of $1 million. Again, just now the next one's just a visual representation of the same expenses broken down. Any question on the statement of operations before I go to the next few slides?
Nope.
No questions from me.
No questions?
No.
Perfect. This is a consolidated statement of changes in net financial assets. So as you recall, when we looked at the statement of financial position, we had talked about that line of net financial assets, which is your financial assets plus your financial liability, which was 4.5 million. So this kind of just shows the opening balance versus the end and how that moved. So we did start the year with 4,159,000 of net financial assets, in the year with the 4.6. So essentially we had an increase of 431,000 during the year, and that is made up of your surplus that you had of 733,000. We do add the amortization of the year of $1 million, and we also look at what the change in inventory and prepaid, the loss on disposal of tangible capital assets, and then any additions that we would have had to our tangible capital assets to give us what that net increase represents. The next one talks about what the accumulated surplus, so on the statement of financial position, so the net number when we take our financial assets less the liabilities less the non-financial assets gives us that accumulated surplus, which was 20,177,373. So that number is broken down between what is considered surplus versus what is considered reserve that we would have put aside. So the surplus is a total of 17.4 million. So that is made up of, so just so that the users of the statements can see, of that 17.4 million that we are saying is surplus, 15.5 million represents what we've invested in our tangible capital assets or infrastructure. Part of that, we have in these statements consolidated the library board, so 37,250 belongs to the library. We finish with general surplus of $3.4 million. We have unfunded, so essentially backing out two items with municipal debt and landfill closure and closed closures. So that represents items that at this point have not been funded. Of a total of one being 773,000, the other 727, so giving us total surplus of 17.4. We also have reserves set aside of 2.7 million, and the note in the statements actually breaks down what that reserve by the different categories that have been established in the past. So that essentially breaks down what that accumulated surplus number represents. And if you can back up there and just go back to that accumulated surplus line, slide. So at this point, I have had a discussion with management with regards to that landfill closure and post-closure. This is a change on how things have been presented in the past. In the past, that unfunded was not being shown in the surplus amount. It would have been grouped with that general surplus. So how we presented it this year is to us the way it should be presented. So we are recommending that council consider creating a reserve for landfill closure and post-closure for that same amount of $727,091. If we were to do this, these statements are still in draft form, so we still can make the change. So if we were to create that reserve, the general surplus amount would decrease to $2,632,459, which means that surplus would change in total up to $16,685,718, but your reserve set aside for specific purposes would increase to $3,491,655 for a total accumulated surplus again for the $20,177,673. Essentially, by the fact that we have shown that unfunded, we have increased that general surplus doesn't include any amounts tied to the landfill closure and post-closure, and it would only be impacted in the year that we actually pay off that liability that is shown in your statement of financial position, which is the $727,000. So if we at least create the reserve in the year we actually pay the liability, we would have the reserve to offset the impact to the general surplus in that year. Is there any questions, comment on that?
It sounds like a good idea.
Well, yeah, then it's set aside.
Exactly, the money it would be set aside, so then the impact wouldn't be there. Because right now you have a very healthy surplus amount. And I hope the municipality continues, the township continues the way you are. You're very strong. It's a very strong statement of financial position. So if we don't know in 20 years from now or 16, 15 years when that liability does come through, if that general surplus is not in a healthy position and we have a huge impact because of that liability, it would be a very strong hit to the ratepayers at that point. But by putting that reserve aside, we are now actually matching up so that there will not be a significant hit in those years when that happens. So I think it's very prudent that a reserve be set aside for the landfill to always match what that liability is on the statement of financial position.
Roxanne, when you talk about landfills, are you talking about 30 years there, and you're talking about 42% life in our dump there? How did you come up with the numbers?
Would somebody be able to repeat that question for me, please?
They're just asking how they came up with that number.
For the 727?
Yes.
So essentially, they were based on engineer report that the township had done in 2019, which revised the estimates based on capacity usage and remaining useful life that had been used in the past. And with the revised engineer report, we had to revise the liability based on those reports. Which made a huge change because it was about $540,000 difference between what the estimate was done in the past versus what the engineer reports now show.
Yeah. Is that acceptable, Russ?
Yeah.
Okay, he's good with that? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on
Roxanne,
this?
excuse me, Roxanne, further on that engineer's report that we got, you recommend how frequently should we get this done?
Based on our recommendation, the engineer report should be done every 3 years. So that we can revisit this liability and reestablish or reposition that liability from year to year. Because for the next, now because the engineer report was done in 2019, for the next 3 years, we're going to be increasing the liability just based on what that engineer report anticipates annual usage to be. So if we do it every 3 years, we can kind of reposition things up at that point in time.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any other questions for Roxanne or Aaron at this point?
Nope,
No?
carry on.
Okay, carry on.
So that's pretty much before I get into the key financial matters and benchmarking, so that's pretty much what I'm going to cover out of the financial statements. So again, that covered the main statements. I didn't get into detail of notes. You do have a copy. You've had, I believe council members have had a few days with the draft financial statements. So
Yes, I have.
is there any question on the whole statement itself or everything that they will have?
Does anyone have any questions about the draft financial statements that you've been given?
No? So now with the key financial matters and benchmarking, so what we do is we try to give a little bit more information as we present this information. I believe we did ask Pat to see which municipalities you'd like to be compared to when we set up these benchmarking. Just keep in mind that this information, how we've determined these numbers with regards to other municipalities is from the financial information return, the FIR. This is public information, we do have access to that, but we have not audited any of their numbers. We pretty much just grabbed what we needed to be able to do the ratio calculation. So just a disclaimer, we haven't audited, we're just presenting it for just comparative purposes. So the first one just talks about your net financial asset position, or sometimes it's net debt. So as you can see, this is just strictly for your township. So you have gone in 2015, you were about 2.7 million, and you have increased to the 4.5 million. So steadily every year you have been increasing that net financial asset. So that shows the municipality is in good financial position. Now this is where we start with some of the key ratios. So what we've done is also think of what the benchmarking is with regards to the Ministry of Northern Development and Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing as to what they deem the municipalities' positions with regards to if they're low risk, moderate risk, or high risk. So with regards to tax arrears ratios, so what we do for this one is we take the total taxes receivable less any allowance for doubtful accounts on collecting those receivable, less the total tax levy. So that's what gives us the total arrears ratio. If it's under 10%, it's by the ministry standard, it's considered a low risk. 10 to 15 is moderate, and greater than 15% is high. So when we compared you to, and the first column is your 2019 number, and all the other columns, including yours for the next shade of green, that all represents 2018 numbers, because at this point we don't have any information on other municipalities with regards to 2019 numbers. So compared to Mark's Day, Warren, Narren Center, French River, St. Charles, and Baldwin, you actually are in a very good position. You are considered low risk based on the municipal ratios and the risk calculations, whereas some of the other municipalities are in the moderate to high risk at this point in time. So it kind of gives you a perspective that your municipality is actually doing very well when it comes to collection of your taxes. The next slide just now takes your specific municipality. So for the last 5 years, where has that ratio kind of fallen? So you've actually always been under the 10%, so you've actually always been considered low risk when it comes to your tax arrears. So it shows that your policy and your procedures that are in place for ensuring collection of the taxes receivable is actually being very well executed and done. So good job on that one. The next one is the reserve ratio. So taking your total reserves divided by your operating expenses. So where does that fall? So if it's greater than 20%, it's actually considered low risk. 10 to 20 is moderate risk, and then high to is under 10%. So in 2019, you're over the 20%, so definitely low risk. In 2018, you were actually at the 20%, so you were at that edge of being moderate versus low risk. And when you compare to other municipalities, I think most municipalities fall into, the one that we compared to anyways, we're all falling into that low risk category. For your last 5 years, if we compare the next slide, you're actually always into a low risk position. You've always been greater than the 20% for the most part. 27-18, you were just kind of on the edge, but all the other years you were actually into that 20% and up range, which is a low risk position. The next category that we looked at was the debt servicing ratio cost. So that's taking your payment on your debt divided by your total revenue base. If you're under 5%, it's considered low risk. 5 to 10% is moderate, and anything over 10% is high. All of the municipalities that we compared to are actually under the 5%, so everybody here is in a low risk position. And if we compare your municipality for the last 5 years, you've actually, your percentage, if anything, is slowly coming down, which is indicative of the fact that you've had no new debt, and that the debts keep coming down with the payments that you're doing every year. So the percentage is actually coming down. So no risk with regards to the debt servicing. Next one talks about asset consumption ratio. So this is looking at the closing accumulated amortization. So what we've amortized so far divided by the total cost of the tangible capital assets, giving us this asset ratio consumption. Under 50% would be a low risk. Moderate would be 50 to 75, and then high would be greater than 75%. So this is taking all of your asset in the global position, realizing that some of the assets might actually be maybe in the high position, some might be in the extremely low. So this is really just looking at global. And in actually doing this, we thought of, and the presentation had already been sent to you, but we're thinking that for next year, we might actually break down the slide on asset consumption to break down into maybe some of your key categories, like your roads, your transportation equipment, and maybe even your buildings, just to see where this falls. But overall, this is showing that if the fact that we're just slightly over 50% usage, that there's still about 45% of the asset life left based on accounting standards of your asset. So the higher this percentage gets, that's why the risk becomes greater, is that now you're going to be into a position where the township would have to start thinking of replacing those assets. So this is where, as this percentage keeps going up, that your asset management plan becomes very important to see what may need to be changed over the next few years, or what the plan is in going further as to how you're going to replace the assets as they're getting older. Over the 5 years, the last 5 years for the township, you can see that the percentage is slowly coming up, which makes sense. If you're not making major additions to your tangible capital assets, then it makes sense that you're slowly amortizing a little bit more every year. So, but you're still in the moderate range at this point in time, in the low moderate category actually. So, but again, considering that an asset management plan as to what will be required in the next few years. Last ratio that we looked at was the operating surplus. So that's looking at your annual surplus over your taxation and your user fees. So the township's own revenue base, not government, etc. Anything greater than minus 1%. So I guess it's accepting a small deficit. If it's greater than that, it's a low risk. If we're between a minus 1% to a minus 30, so into a deficit range, it's moderate, and greater than 30%, minus 30% I think your lowest one was in 2016, but all the other units seem to be in very good. So that's pretty much it with regards to presenting some benchmarking, statements. Is there any questions? I do have some more stuff I need to talk to council about, but with regards to this, is there any questions at this point in time?
Well, Roxanne, before we take any questions, I'm just gonna let everybody know that if we abruptly get cut off, I will send Ruth another meeting request.
Yes, because there is a time limit to resume.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have 4.5 minutes left. If we get cut off, which we more than likely will, I will send Ruth another meeting request and we will be right back.
Okay.
All of the meetings I've had on Zoom kind of give me a message saying, oh, we're gonna extend, like, you know, and give you more time, but yeah, you never know. Any questions on what we just presented?
No.
I don't have any questions, but I really would like to see that asset consumption breakdown next time.
Yeah, you definitely will do that for next year. And provide more detail on your major categories of assets so that you really see which ones might be more at risk because you're getting into an older infrastructure.
Yeah, very good.
And in regards to tax arrears, they're using Narren as a prime example. If you drive down the highway, they got 3 commercial there that are not being used, but that throws your tax arrears numbers totally right out of control. Because we had the same problem in Webwood there a few years ago with the building there that the taxes weren't being paid on. So that slide there depends on are you collecting all your taxes on your old buildings? Because Narren's got old buildings, Baldwin's got old buildings, French River's got a pile of them. All the ones you're listed here, St. Charles has got old buildings, and are they paying taxes? So that throws the picture right out of whack.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're under the 10%.
Yeah, maybe we're doing all right, yeah.
Yeah,
We're very aggressive in our collection.
But we don't have any old buildings there that we're having a hard time collecting money.
Yeah.
we did.
Well,
We did, but we got rid of them.
Yeah, and that individual's working in a building there on weekend.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well,
Any other
Roxanne,
questions?
go ahead.
Roxanne, with our surplus there of cash that we got, and then we got a debt there to the World Bank of roughly $700,000, we're paying 3% interest. Does it make sense for us to be borrowing money there when we have a cash flow like we have? Or should we be paying the Royal Bank off and paying the municipality back and keeping the interest? Because we paid $26,000 last year in interest.
Yes, you are correct, Gary. The interest last year, you're right, you paid 26,000. What you have to remember, and these are some, Aaron, could you bring the financial asset slide as well as, and then we'll skip to the market. So, yeah, so we have cash of 5.4 million. Less also that term deposit of 1290. So you're essentially sitting with almost $6.7 million worth of cash. Go to the financial liability slide. You have one that's required to be having the funds set aside is that obligatory reserve fund. So you have 0.4, let's say that you have to have. You've got a municipal debt of 774,000, and you've got reserves of 2.7 million as well. So technically, based on the numbers that I'm seeing, unless there's, and the one thing I don't know is if the township has any significant plans in, let's say, 20 or 21 with regards to its cash, that with regards any type of infrastructure type of plan, like in your asset management plan, that you would need the cash. Given the fact that you are sitting on 6.7 and you need about, let's say, 4.
There we go.
Nick, my email should still be up, Pat, I think.
Yeah.
Went through 4 of them on live.
Funny you can't set it, we can set ours at the school for 8 hours if we want.
Well, I think it's sort of,
No, don't forget about the internet, okay?
yeah. Well,
You
not
have to use
just
your
that.
scroll bar net.
It's,
Jesus, go, okay.
It just
I
doesn't
heard we
show.
went through 4 of them.
It's not doing it.
Yeah, it's not doing
I
it.
think
It's
it's
gonna, yeah.
It does say it's a free Zoom, Zoom US,
you do it? Yeah.
if we get a contract.
I know, that's the only, it looks great on the screen though. It was much better to change it. Just waiting for it.
You gotta wait for it to come through.
We have a delayed reaction in getting these.
Yes.
So much for the word Zoom.
It's not Zoom, it's just Zoom.
I presume. I think it was 2:05 in your inbox already. What was that, yours? 2:05.
I just click on it to
Yeah,
refresh
sure.
it.
There it is.
Now I have to find this little tiny box. That little tiny box?
Yes.
I think it should be okay. Yeah. Can I open this window? Thank you.
I can open the door if you want to leave. Need a hand there, I can make that knock. Think it's cooler up there, or?
No, say stuff. There we go. We're back. Hello, we're back.
We're back.
Okay.
Good, so I'll give the presentation back up to you.
Well, that's a first.
Now we have another hour?
I won't take that much. We're almost done. I needed about another 10-15 minutes and I was done, so. Okay, so while I was waiting, I did do a bit of number crunching. So if you've got total cash of $6.6 million, we know we have to keep some cash aside for the obligatory reserve fund for the 376. We know we have reserves that we put aside, so even though there's no requirement to have them in separate bank account, I think it's a good idea for the municipality to have that cash, because that's the purpose of setting up the reserve as well. So that's 2.7 million. If council approves that extra transfer to reserves tonight of the 727,000 for the landfill, so that would leave us with net cash of about 2.8 million. Your debt is 773,000. But I always think it's good to have some type of a cushion with regards to what's your asset management plan coming in, and also your operating expenses on an annual basis are about 7.4 million. So to keep some of that cash in the event that the funding doesn't come in that quickly, et cetera, now becomes really a decision on what are your plans in the next year or so? And should you be using, of that 2.8 million that's left, should you be using 773,000 to pay down the debt at that point in time, leaving you with about 2.2 million, 2.1 million. So, for the most part, I don't recommend that we pay off. Municipal debt is usually tied to long-term assets, so I usually say keep your cash flow and just keep the municipal debt going. But it really is your comfort level and your decision as to do you want to bring down that cash to about 2 million if you exclude the fact that you should be keeping some of that cash aside for the reserve and the obligatory reserves.
Yeah, but Roxanne, that's not quite what I'm getting at. You've got a $773,000 debt there. We're paying $26,000 interest. Would it not be benefit to pay the municipality that $26,000 and build our reserve cash up there? Pay the bank off and you still pay our payments to the municipality for what we're paying the World Bank? Because other institutions, that's what they're doing.
Yes.
Because you're only getting 0.5% there, leaving your money in the bank, and we're borrowing money at 3.47%.
Yes, and you are correct on that. So again, it depends if you're going to tomorrow need that cash because there was an infrastructure plan or something that you had in mind that I'm not aware of. But you are correct. You're paying 3% to be able and only earning almost nothing on your investments. It may not be a bad idea to pay down if that's, and to use the money that had been set aside for reserve and slowly make sure that it is coming back into play.
Correct.
So if the numbers were bigger, I might have a different answer, but given the cash flow that you do have and the level of the debt, it is a possible solution to do is what you're proposing.
Because the provincial government will look at how much cash you got before they want to lend you money as well.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right, with how much you're paying in percentage versus how much it's earning, you would be ahead.
But we discussed whether or not we'd be getting a fine for paying them off early too, right?
Well,
You were talking something about that, I don't know.
Yeah, we'd have to check
Yeah.
into what the
Well, that-
terms
What the agreement
of the loan were.
Yeah.
There may be, because the term of the loan was over the useful life of the particular asset that we were borrowing on. There may be some penalty
So if
for
you
paying
pay
it off
penalties,
early.
it might not.
We'd have to determine whether it's worth
Yeah,
paying
it
the
depends on
penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we had done this exercise for another client, and by the time they had paid the penalties and stuff, it wasn't worth them paying off the debt
Okay.
That's what I would
in the
worry
end.
about.
so I think that would have to be analyzed first before we went any further.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like I said, without knowing all the numbers and doing some number crunching, it may be worthwhile, but it really depends on what it ends up coming out to. So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's something we can look at.
Yeah. Any other questions for Roxanne?
Nope.
Nope.
Carry on, Roxanne.
Okay, well, thank you. So if no other questions on the statement or the presentation, so there are a few things that I do need to speak to council, and it's not on the presentation, it's just something that I at least have to communicate with you. And it really just ties to how the audit went, just giving you a little bit more information as to how everything went. So one thing we do issue is an engagement letter, which has been submitted to the municipality. And part of that engagement letter does talk about what our responsibilities are with regard as being an auditor. And our key one is obviously to provide an opinion on the audited financial statement. We also talk about what the responsibility for council is. And it really is to act as an independent liaison between management and us. It is to review the draft stages. So our process usually is that we do a planning, we do a planning stage, we develop an audit plan, we execute that audit plan, and then we report and assess the performance of the result of the audit. And at this stage of the game, this is where we're at, is in that last audit process. Our audit approach that we took this year for doing this first audit was a substantive audit approach, which essentially means that we did do sample basis of our revenue and expenses. We tied to supporting documentations on revenue, expenses, as well as assets and liabilities. We do a risk-based approach for our audit, and we are reporting that there were no significant audit risks that were identified while we were doing our planning. As I indicated, we did issue a clean audit opinion. There are no new accounting policies that were adopted during the current year, and there are key estimates that are part of the financial statements. They are disclosed in the notes of the statements. The key ones are the useful life of the tangible capital assets as well as the related amortization, the landfill closure and post-closure liability, which is an estimate based on the ESG report, as well as the allowance for doubtful accounts for taxes receivable. Materiality was set based on a percentage of total expenses of 7.4 million was the total expense base we used. We used a factor of 2.5%, which is allowed. And we did, so materiality was set at $165,000. So essentially materiality is based on the user's needs, and we try to determine at what level, if there was an error in the financial statements, would it have an impact on your decisions using these statements. So we perform our work based on lower scopes than that materiality level of 165 to ensure that there are no material misstatements in these financial statements. So if there was an error under 165 based on these numbers, we don't think, and the volume that you have in your statements, we don't think that it would have an impact on your decisions. But if I came to you and said that there was a $500,000 error, I think it would have an impact. So we are very conscious of the materiality that we set to make sure we don't get close to that number. We did not identify any uncorrected misstatements during the course of the audit. So essentially, we did just do a few journal entries, nothing, I think there was 4, which is very good for the accounting department. Your treasurer and everybody in your finance department does an excellent job. So there was nothing here that we kind of just kept track of that we didn't adjust. Everything was well done. We are confirming that we are independent of the township. And just a few other things to disclose. So all related party transactions are disclosed in the notes of the financial statements. And in your case, your related parties are your library, council members, etc. No significant transactions were entered into by the township that you should be aware of. There are no significant matters arising during the audit discussed with management and no disagreements. We will be issuing a management letter, but it will indicate that no deficiencies were found. So essentially, we have no recommendations with regards to municipality. The controls, internal controls are in place and they are working well. There's no instances of illegal acts, fraud, intentional misstatements, or errors that were noted during the audit, and there's no instances of non-compliance of laws, regulations that were identified during the audit. We will be asking that management sign a letter reaffirming that everything they told us, they pretty much told us everything that we needed to know. So that letter, Pat, we will be putting on the portal if it hasn't already been done so.
It has, Roxanne. Yeah, it has, Roxanne, and Kim and I've already signed it, and Kim will be signing it. Yeah.
And it is dated today with the anticipation that the statements will be approved today, maybe with a slight modification of that reserve, that transfer to reserve for landfill, but everything else would stay the same, and that would strictly just have an impact on that one note. I have to ask a few last questions. So to council, I have indicated just on what what I just kind of said, that we were not aware of any intentional misstatements, errors, fraud, etc. But I have to ask the question to council, are you aware of anything of that similar nature that we may not have been made aware of?
No.
No.
To maybe Pat and Kim, last time I think we had the discussion with regards to subsequent events would have been April 6th. So between April 6th and today, is there any subsequent event that you're aware of that might have an impact on these statements that we are not aware of?
I'm not aware of anything.
Neither mind.
And that's pretty much it for us. The FIR is essentially ready to go, with the exception that we do not have the consolidated items for the DSAB and the health unit. Other than that, we'd be ready to press the 10 button. Which was, I know, Pat's dream to have this.
Go out with a bang.
Under control, we're on top of it.
Not for lack of trying on my part, because I was hounding the public health unit, trying to get them to provide their statements, and they're not going to the board until the 18th of June.
Oh.
So,
Yeah,
that-
so
yeah.
we'll have a chat with you tomorrow. There is something you can maybe think of doing, but we'll talk to you tomorrow about that. But there's, I think we can make a decision. So, any other questions for us tonight?
Nope, very good presentation.
Yeah, good job, Roxanne, thank
Easy
you.
to understand, very well done. Very well done.
Thank you. If in the PowerPoint, like I know you've mentioned once that with the asset obligation or consumption, that we'll detail a little bit more. But if you think of any other ratios that you would like to see presented and compared to other municipality, or there's another township municipality you'd like to add to this one or change, please feel free to let us know, and we'll make sure the changes are there for next year. So if there's nothing else, thank you very much. Thanks, Pat, Ruth. And the audit, like I said at the beginning, the audit went very well. I think Erin can attest to that. Considering it was a remote audit, it went actually pretty well. So I wish you all a great night, a great summer. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I'm hoping next year I get to go to the Action Municipality.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
If you want to just wait a few minutes, I think council has some resolutions to pass.
Perfect.
Would that be okay for you?
Yeah, that'd be great. That way we can finalize things for sure.
Okay, be resolved that Roxanne Gerba and Aaron McBain of Baker Tilly be thanked for attending this meeting to present council with the 2019 financial statements, and further that we accept the 2019 financial statements as presented. Pat, will you move it there?
I so move.
Dale, will you second it?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All
Carried.
Pat in favor.
There's one more.
In regards to landfill there, in regards to Roxanne's commenter, be resolved the landfill closure and post-closure reserve be established by transfer of $727,091 from the general surplus at December 31st, 2018. Anybody got any questions there?
No,
Cheryl, you move it there,
I will move so.
I'll second.
and you'll second there?
I will.
All in favor of it? Carried.
Okay, is that sufficient?
That's sufficient for us, and we will finalize everything and put everything on the portal probably within the next week or two. But we'll chat tomorrow quickly with regard to the FIR.
Okay. very good.
DSAB will be done there tomorrow there, so.
Yeah. And we'll have theirs, it's just, public health it's going to be slower.
Yeah, so, but, yeah, we can decide on something, so. I thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Aaron, thanks. I was gonna say, I'm like,
Hey, Aaron.
he had a hard job. He's there for backup, I guess.
Yeah,
More information with this company there than with.
Oh, yeah. A lot more understandable.
I thought it was really well
Really
done.
well. Yeah.
Well, that's one of the reasons why they were picked, is because of the extra information that we were looking
Yeah.
at.
Wes?
And her connection to the township, she's married to Mike
Sure.
Patry.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't
Ray
know that.
Ray Patry's son.
yeah,
Ray,
yeah, I know who that
The
is.
youngest one,
Wow.
youngest boy.
You only had one boy, didn't you, boy? and
No,
girl?
one of them
Raymond and
died,
Michael.
didn't they?
Yeah,
Okay.
Raymond's EMT, I believe, young one.
In regards to the agenda, we have to go into closed session to deal with legal air connector. Be it resolved the following be added to the agenda, closed session, litigation, potential litigation affecting the municipality. Susan, you move it there.
Sure.
Glenda, second it there. All in favor? Carried.
You're Saturday. You need to remove Ruth.
In regards to the consent agenda, anybody got any of their concerns or questions you want to bring up there on it there? Be it resolved that items A1 to A5 and G1 contained in the consent agenda be adopted there. Nobody got any questions there? Dale and Charlie move it there?
Yes, I will.
I'll
All in
second that.
favor? Carried.
We just have further resolutions with regards to the finance department and treasurer's compliance report with regards to the budget and giving notice of the budget as discussed in the finance committee.
That pursuant to the recommendation from the Finance Committee, the Local Services Realignment Reserve be renamed the Stabilization Reserve with an initial value of $200,000 to be used to fund the tax revenue shortfalls, one-time expenditures, as well as other contingencies as deemed necessary. In the past, Pat, have we ever had to go into reserves there to fund shortfalls?
No, we've never had to. We have used working capital to purchase capital assets, vehicles, things that we were not able to get that money for.
Give it on the tax
But as far as.
tax revenue shortfall?
No,
No, never.
no. But who knows what could happen in the future.
I'm gonna read that again, Les.
Yeah.
That pursuant to the recommendation from the Finance Committee, the Local Services Realignment Reserve be renamed the Stabilization Reserve with initial value of $200,000 to be used to fund tax revenue shortfalls.
Okay, yeah, we decided that.
One-time
Yes.
expenditures as well as other contingencies as deemed necessary.
Yeah.
I'll do.
Susan and Kevin, you'll move there?
I'll
And
second.
then we'll talk about it there.
I'll second because Kevin wasn't at the meeting.
No, I
so we
wasn't
just
at the
reviewed
meeting.
it.
Okay,
That's why.
Pat will second it there. Any questions? I can't, I'm not in favor.
It's just a rename, isn't it?
We're just
It's just
renaming the
renaming.
fund. That's what we decided at finance.
Yeah, I totally understand, but in 25 years, you never had to use a tax revenue shortfall. You never had it.
But it's
So now
not,
you said
So we're setting more
one-time
money.
expenditure. Yeah,
Okay, however, with this COVID thing, we're living in unusual times, so
We could see a significant tax
Maybe.
revenue shortfall.
yes.
But it's not
we don't
just
know
for that.
moving forward, but it's not
Right?
just for that. but-
I thought that was the purpose, to rename it so that it would.
We
kind of
can use
catch
it.
your,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
because what it was used, saved for before is not in existence anymore.
and did we not say too that we kind of review it on an annual
We
or
did.
biannual basis or something?
The
To see
reserve
if
fund.
it is necessary or not,
You want to add that to it.
right? Is that what we
Well,
said?
yes, we decide to review it then.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I may interject,
Mhm.
Finance Committee directed Treasury staff to come up with a reserve and a reserve fund policy. So that may be something that we can discuss at that point, because we have to, we'll create a policy, and that will give direction as to how surpluses in the future and transfers to and from reserves will be handled.
And how often.
Right now, we don't have a policy.
Yeah.
And just basically going on recommendations. So this policy will help give you direction. You can discuss what the terms that you want to have in the policy.
Okay.
We'll give you some good examples, and that way, you can put in what you want. So that might be a good topic at that time for discussing the stabilization reserve. But it will be done this year, this summer. We'll be working on it.
Would you sooner just postpone it till we review it, or?
I'm only one vote to this table to
Yeah,
settle this.
okay.
Yeah.
It has to be voted on, it's been
Yeah,
moved.
it's moved and
Okay,
seconded.
Okay.
Any other questions, sir? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, be it resolved, the council adopts the compliance report for expenses excluded from the 2020 budget outlined in the treasurer's report dated May 21st, 2020, as a requirement of Ontario Regulation 284-09 passed on the Municipal Act of 2001. Pat, you want to talk about that?
This is an annual requirement that before you pass the budget, I have to disclose to you or give you a report on, we don't normally budget for amortization expense, the post-closure for landfill or any post-retirement employee benefits. So I have to report to you how that would affect the tax rates. And so in my report, I estimate what the annual amortization is going to be, and also what the post-closure. And I've used the report that the engineers had given us, and we basically indicated that about $30,000 annual expense would be involved. So that would, if you bring that into a play with the amortization expense and the post-closure landfill costs, that would increase the tax rates considerably. I think I put in there, I don't have the report in front of me, I think I put 23%.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, 23%. So if you were to include those items in the budget, you would have to increase the tax rates by 23%. And that would be, as I said in my report, that is not something that our ratepayers can handle. And it's not a requirement that we do it. Yes, in the perfect world, you would use it, you would put those things in your budget, but we have to recognize that we're not doing it, because it would just make it too onerous for our taxpayers. They would not be able to afford their taxes.
Well, I don't think
So the
anybody does.
report, there's maybe a few that do, but they're the larger centers that have a larger tax base, and, they have much more departments, et cetera. But we don't need to do that. But I still have to give you a report as to how that would affect the tax rates, to be in compliance with that Ontario regulation. Yes?
You said tax rates, is that correct? Is that what I
Tax
heard?
levy, the tax levy would be increased by 23%.
Pat, you'll move it here?
I so move.
Yeah, Dale, you second it?
I second.
All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the Council of Corporation Township Sables-Spanish River hereby gives notice of the intention to adopt the 2020 annual budget pursuant to Section 290 of the Municipal Act, SO 2001-25 at the regular meeting of June 10th, 2020. Any questions, anybody? Kevin, you'll move it there? Cheryl, seconded there.
Yes, I will.
Any questions, anybody? All in favor? Carried.
That was A9, was it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm keeping track if you don't want to. I said I'm keeping track.
Okay.
Council has circulated a letter from the municipality of Huron Shores, as well as the other Lacrosse Foothills municipalities in our area, and all of the municipalities in the Manitoulin and Algoma districts. And it is with regards to their efforts in trying to establish a network along the North Shore for regional broadband. And so they're just looking for support and possible further discussions with, between heads of councils.
Does Manitoulin Island have, do they have broadband on Manitoulin Island, the whole?
No, they have problems on the island.
Yeah.
Well, that should include there, because that.
Oh, they're on
It
here.
is.
It's on
Does it?
here,
Okay,
Manitoulin District?
yeah,
Manitoulin.
Yeah.
yeah, because it doesn't say on this resolution.
No.
Okay, be resolved that we support the municipality of Huron Shores in their efforts in establishing a network along the North Shore of Lake Huron to focus on delivery of effective broadband to meet all the community's needs. And it doesn't matter where you are in the north here, there's pockets there, nobody can get anything.
Yeah. I'll move that, Susan.
So, Cheryl, seconded there?
Yes,
All in
I will.
favor? Carry.
Yeah.
It's same as your cell coverage there, that don't even work out for places of municipality.
That's true.
In regards to half loads, be it resolved that council concurs with the recommendation from the Public Works Department to remove the reduced load limits on municipal roads as per the bylaw 2013-22 by June the 1st, 2020. If there's some roads there, like these, one Coburn Road is an example there, do we have to, we pass this?
All the bylaw says is that if it's gonna be done before the June 15th timeframe, that the Public Works would consult with council on this. So there has to be some consultation between Public Works and council on making that decision. So basically, this resolution is confirming that you're agreeing with Public Works decisions.
Yeah, because there could be some of these small roads there that can't take,
Yeah.
So, let me just understand this. Does that mean if we lifted June 1st and Coburn Road isn't good, we'll just leave it closed or reduce load for them?
well, we leave it closed there. I'm just using Coburn
But I
example.
mean,
Yeah.
and using it as an example, let's say it's all mush on June
Yeah.
1st. We'll
Yeah.
just leave that road half loading, we'll have it posted, and the rest of the roads?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just take the signs down on the roads that are accessible.
Thank you.
Pat, you'll move it
I
there?
will move, yes.
Cheryl, you'll second it there?
Yes.
All in favor? Carried.
Okay, Ontario regulation is passed under the Public Transportation and Highway Improvement Act requires at least one inspection every 2 years be performed on all bridges and culverts with spans of 3 meters or greater. 2020 is the year we have to have this done again. We sent a request for proposals out, and we received 2 responses from the 4 that were circulated. The fees proposed are Telek Engineering $15,625, Crescent Engineering $8,950. Both of these firms indicate their understanding of the scope of work, have training in bridge and structure inspection and bridge inspection techniques, and both are scheduled to get this work during this summer when the water levels are typically the lowest, and have reports to council following thereafter. It's being recommended to accept Crescent Engineering's proposal for this project.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Where's this engineering firm from? I haven't heard of
Both
it
of
before.
them are from Sault Ste. Marie. Crescent is an older firm. The township has had dealings with them for 30 years or more.
Okay, so we're getting the same work
Yes.
for,
Almost
Yeah, the
$7,000.
price
Big
difference.
difference.
I questioned it, and they said
Yeah.
that they were taking a different approach, but were satisfied that their quote could fulfill the Ontario structural inspection requirements.
and do we know of any municipalities locally, Les, or in our North Shore area that have used them?
We've used Crescent, they're excellent there.
Yeah, we've used them before.
For this exact pass?
Yeah,
They
Oh,
have,
okay.
yes.
Thank you.
in roads as well, they're not just. Be it resolved that the proposal from Crescent Engineer be accepted for the 2020 bridge and culvert inspection at their bid price of $8,950 plus HST. Kevin, you'll move it there. Susan, you second it there?
I'll second it.
Any questions, anybody?
No.
All in favor? Carried. There's been 3 overloaded transports there down on that 10-ton limit bridge there this week already.
Who caught them, Les?
What?
Did somebody catch them?
No, 8, 9 o'clock there, they're coming down there and they couldn't catch the truck, so he forgot, missed the driveway and had to turn around and go back there and dump his load. And the other one's dumping material there next to me. And if somebody breaks that bridge here, somebody's gonna be liable.
So we don't know if they're a local firm?
One local and one Southern Ontario.
So can we send some letters?
Well, there should be. They can come around by Massey there and go down when the half load is off.
Yeah.
You lost me, sorry about that.
When the half load is off. You can't haul a full load down the roads yet.
Oh, I understand.
No.
But they are.
Yeah.
They are.
There's 2 local companies are doing it.
Yeah, I know.
So what happens with them?
Yeah, but if it's, our locals should be abiding by the rules as well as.
Because they're
the tran-
ratepayers.
I know, but they don't, so,
I'm given the information I can send out.
yeah.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Like, how would I know if somebody's overloaded going by me?
You can tell if they have a full load on the truck or not.
What type of
With the
material, can
tar,
you tell me?
gravel.
The carpet usually,
We don't want, we're not out to pick on anybody. We
No, I
don't want to
understand.
damage our roads.
I just
or-
was, you know what I'm trying to say, it just, that makes sense, I just was wondering.
That's.
Okay, with regards to the speed limit on municipal roads, council had asked at the last meeting that this be reviewed further at this meeting. So I have provided council with just some background information on a summary of bylaws in effect that have been passed with regards to speed limits. In July of 2016, a bylaw was passed to have all the streets within Massey, Webwood, and the Walford communities put to 40 kilometers an hour. September 2019, all roads west of the Massey boundary were lowered to 60 kilometers an hour. And in January 2020, a rate of speed of 60 kilometers an hour was put in various locations on Lee Valley Road where there was concern on curves and so on. So if council wishes to proceed in posting the remainder of the municipal roads to 60 kilometers an hour east of Massey, the bylaw as drafted can be passed by council. We'll increase the signage budget under Public Works to accommodate the extra signage that it will require. Unless council has other specific.
I'm totally for it.
Yeah, so
So am
I
I.
like the way we handled Lee Valley
Yeah.
Road. They can't say we slashed it right down, but it's really cutting down on speed.
It's for safety, it's for road, maintaining the road.
Yeah,
There's a
all
whole
of it.
vehicles,
Yeah.
everything.
And really, I had one complaint, and I haven't had a single one since.
Yeah.
So,
I'm totally for it.
yeah, so my,
Anybody else got any comment?
that's a big, that's a big,
We're good?
but it's like,
I'm looking at the cost of, you know.
Oh, I know there's gonna
Material,
be-
everything, you know, like.
There's gonna be coming, they'll be at the door screaming.
Oh, well,
and Birch Lakes is windy as any road you could have.
There's,
So,
there's a few blind spots
yeah,
on the
you're
hill.
the one that catches the. Oh, no.
I've
Phone
received
calls.
lots of
People call.
comments and complaints, maybe because I live on Lee Valley Road, I don't know, but I've received lots.
Oh, yeah.
They're not.
Does everybody feel comfortable passing it tonight, or do we just get first and second reading and then pass the final one the next meeting?
Let's pass it tonight.
Let's pass it.
I'll move it right now.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved by Kevin, second by
Glenda.
Glenda. Be it
I'll ask
resol-
for a recorded vote, please.
Sure.
Be it resolved that bylaw 2020-20 being a bylaw to prescribe a rate of speed on municipal roads be read a first and second time. Recorded vote there. Dale?
Against?
Kevin?
For.
Pat?
4,
Linda?
4.
Cheryl?
4.
Susan?
4.
And I'm totally for it. Motion carried.
Gee, you can.
Yes, I played with it too much there when we were talking about money.
Doing.
Okay, be resolved that bylaw 2020-20 being a bylaw to prescribe a rate of speed of municipal roads be read a third and final time, passed open council. Cheryl, you move it, Terry, and
Yes.
Pat will second it, Terry?
yes, I second.
Record it, Terry, Dale, you want? it?
Please?
Dale? Gates?
Against?
Kevin?
For.
Pat?
4,
Glenda?
4.
Cheryl?
4.
Susan?
4.
9 for it. Motion carried.
Okay, follow up C4 for the loader repairs. At the finance committee meeting, the public works manager had given the committee council a review and a summary of the repairs required for the loader bucket. And he was directed at that time to continue to get the prices that it would cost to completely repair it with the new issues that had been found on it. So I have a resolution that accepts his recommendation for the repair.
Any comment on it there, Dale?
I'd like to make a comment. If we're gonna go with his recommendations, then we're gonna have to have promise of another machine coming onto our site here.
We've got one there now.
Well, that's a rental.
Yeah, for the time being there, so we've got to figure out what we're doing.
Well, if, we gotta figure out how we're gonna put forks on the machine and how we're gonna put a plow blade on the machine. So this thing, if we go with the recommendations, which I'm not against, I understand, but if we don't go with that material handling, option, then we're not gonna be able to switch implements, and, which means we're gonna need another machine. So are we willing to commit to another machine? I know $10,000 sounds like a lot for that material handling replacement, but I'm shocked at the shape that machine's in. I don't know who the operator or operators were, but something's gone awry. That machine was beat up.
Well, thank God we caught it there before we had an accident.
That's for sure. But I am concerned, there's things we're not gonna be able to do, and I hate to see us have to wait on standby for a machine with forks on it to come in. There we are paying out something again. Like I said, if we have a machine with an articulating blade on, we're gonna be able to really mow that snow down. And a machine with a blade on it versus a bucket, the bucket's good for loading, it's no good for snow plowing. So if we're willing to commit to a machine that we can put forks and a bucket and a blade on, and I'm all for it. Otherwise, I say maybe the $9,700 is the cheaper option if we're not gonna put a second machine on site. That's my opinion.
Yeah, we've got to do the must-do there
There's no point having.
of
the
$10,861, and we've got to do option 1 or 2 there. And pins on the bucket there need to be repaired, is $9,700, which comes to $20,561.
Well, it's the pin on bucket option, right?
Yeah. Plus the top must-do, you
Yeah.
got to do.
The coupler, which is a material
Yeah,
handling, the quick
the
change,
frame.
it is, it's a huge asset on a machine. It's a huge asset. Now, I don't know why this is all busted up, the size of that machine, I'm shocked. I haven't seen that broken before, so I don't know. I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not saying neglect, but maybe this thing was a dud from the get-go, I don't know, but I'm concerned about how we're going to move concrete barriers, pallets of material that could weigh up to 2,000 pounds. Again, I would really like to see us step into the 21st century and have a blade on that articulates, so we can clean our streets without gouging everybody's yards and taking topsoil out and on and on. So if we have a second machine, which I believe council, I think some of us were on board for initially from the get-go of new council, if we're gonna carry on with that, then I see this in $9,700, or sorry, $17,000 can go toward a new machine.
So you're not in favor of fixing this machine?
I'm in favor of fixing less, but
The fixing is a must-do, the 10,000, and option 2, it comes up to $20,000.
so then we have a machine with a bucket on it, but we can't switch it out. If we don't have that option 1 is the coupler unit.
No, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it with option 1. What year is this machine?
2,000, I think?
It'll most likely be on in his yard for another couple of years, so how much do we want to spend repairing? That is the question.
Yeah.
And we
If we
can't
spend-
commit
It's near the
to,
end of its life.
we can't commit to another
agree with
machine
you.
at this, because we've already done budget, right? So that's gotta go in a budget.
Well,
You can't just go, well, we need another machine too, we know that, but
so what was
it's
mentioned,
not in our budget.
so what was mentioned last meeting is, we can limp through with this, and if we can budget for it and get something
Yes.
in the works right away in January,
Yeah.
Yes.
then we have our second machine for snow removal. But in the meantime, we're
still-
crippled with,
If we gotta lease something, we will.
You still have to fix
Okay.
it.
But I'm in agreement with Dale. We have to look forward to a new machine here. But I'm not opposed to fixing this and having it as a second machine.
Well, we gotta fix it, or
Can't use it, it's.
or mothball, one of the other.
so Glenn's recommended option 2. We're all in agreement, I believe, over the actual repair, the must-do.
Yeah.
And we're just talking about the difference, I believe, of,
$8,000.
$8,000, yeah, less, a little less than that.
so, if I was your operator, I'd sure enjoy having a material handling option so that I could perform my work well and not have to wait for somebody to come, wait for a contractor to come, on and on. I would urge council to order an articulating blade for it where it's gonna be demonstrated on day 1 that that blade can outperform a bucket anytime in the snow. I initially was hoping we would get a second machine, and again, I'm just one person on council. A second machine means in the winter, if one breaks down, we're still moving
Well,
snow.
we've got it back.
And we talked about a backhoe 4-wheel drive with material handler and a extending.
Okay, so this got nothing to do with this here. So let's decide what we're gonna do with this here. Are we going with option 1 or option 2?
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
Les? I
You gotta fix it.
do believe Glenn is very dedicated, and I don't wanna disagree with him, but as somebody that's operated a lot of machinery over the years, it's like you're kinda you're taking something away from me by not having me able to take that bucket off and put something else on.
Yeah, I don't think it's the right place to be trying to save money.
You want full work.
Because it's gonna cost
You
you-
want to have your full work out of it.
It's
Definitely.
gonna cost the money in
That's
the
right.
long run, because
Yeah.
we're gonna be around waiting.
It's gonna cost you manual, it's gonna cost you in
Yeah.
other ways, so you might as well do the right thing
Yeah.
and get that fixed.
And I'm sure that once they're able to pressure wash the machines and keep a little bit of observation on what's going on, it won't get this far before we need repairs, you know what I mean? It'll
Well-
certainly be more monitored once we can clean it. How do you feel about it, Les?
It's not a new machine though, so,
Yeah.
you know.
How often do they use the forks?
Well, anytime there's stuff on pallets, anytime.
Yeah, but I mean, how often, like,
Well,
Glenn
when those
would've.
trees are down, they put the forks on, pick the trees up and haul them
Oh,
away.
I know what they use them for, I'm just saying, how often do they use them? to spend that when we're going to look at getting a whole new outfit to complement this, is what I'm
And it
saying.
was only a couple of years ago, we were gonna get mothballed and get a new,
Yes.
loader.
Yes.
So if we're gonna look at a new loader, then if we fix this one for back, I mean, it's no good to us now.
No.
It's just a piece of metal
needs to be
sitting in the yard.
fixed.
Yeah,
So if we
it-
fix the bucket and then get the new one, looking at that right away and make sure it has that option.
Yeah, I agree with Cheryl.
Well, that-
Because there's no sense spending another
8,000?
8,000
Well, that's what.
when it's something they're probably, how often do they use it?
Keep in mind the rental's 5,000 a month.
Yeah, I realize.
Plus
I'm just
anything we
saying.
break. Les, what's your opinion? Let's say we don't fix it, it's a machine with a bucket, we sell it in 2 years, it's still running.
We'll get nothing for it, and you probably don't get nothing for our stuff.
Well, we won't sell it, we'll just keep it and use it.
Well,
Yeah,
So-
but there-
If we're gonna spend this on it to fix it, then
you'll
Well,
wanna
for
keep
next
it.
year.
across, it's gonna last us a couple, I mean, you keep it till
What's a
it
new,
dies,
what's a
right?
new loader worth, Les?
$250,000.
Yeah,
At least.
So, we're gonna,
I'm just saying, Glenn is okay with just doing that. They're the ones that use it, I don't use it, so I'm just guessing that he's thinking this'll get us through till we get another one.
Yeah, and I would say that he probably
Because
talked
they-
to the shop to make that decision.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have made that decision just by himself.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of those guys have had any experience with an articulating blade, but it's.
Well, and
night
there's
day.
another reason.
It's
is-
night and day time-wise.
Well,
Well, what, Cheryl?
Okay.
Well, they've managed without it for this many years.
yeah,
Okay,
right,
so,
it's never
So
had
one
one
more
on it.
year, they'll manage.
okay, so option 1 or option 2? Glenda,
I said option 2.
Kevin,
option 2?
Pat,
Option 2.
Dale,
I'm
Oh,
undecided.
no, sorry,
I want-
excuse me. Option 1.
option 1,
My turn?
yeah,
Option 1.
Cheryl,
2,
Susan,
2.
and 2. Okay, be it resolved, the council concurs with the recommendation of the public works manager to proceed with the loader bucket repairs by Brandt at an estimated cost of $20,561. Pat, you'll move it there?
I will move.
Cheryl, you'll second it there?
Yes, I will.
Do we have discussion for a second?
Yeah,
What size bucket is that coming from Brand? I see it's listed 2.75 yards from Tracks and Wheels. I don't see the Brand one listed. I'm hoping it's
It wasn't our
2.7.
last one.
No, there were the options. There was a 2.5 and a 2.75. I'm gonna ask that we get a 2.75 cubic yard bucket.
I would imagine that's what it would be.
Okay, there was two, there was
Yeah,
2.5.
was it 3?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
three,
and
yeah.
for this document,
Oh, I'm
first
sorry,
was
okay.
275.
Yeah,
The 3 was cheap.
yeah.
I don't recall, I thought one was original equipment.
Okay, everybody in favor? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Okay, notwithstanding that we are in the final stages of getting our budget passed, we'd like to bring this to council right now because it's gonna take about a month to have this generator ordered before it can be installed, and the Massey Medical Clinic has been without an operating generator for a little bit, and we hate to.
No, let's order the gosh, I think
Yeah,
more.
yeah. So we're asking for it to be purchased and it be through the 2020 capital budget as proposed.
Okay.
Okay, be it resolved, the quote from NDWD Construction Limited be accepted for the replacement of the Massey Clinic generator for a quote price of $26,566 to be provided for as part of the 2020 capital budget. Susan, you'll move it there?
Yes,
Dale?
I'll move it.
Dale, you'll move it?
Second.
Yes, and then we'll have a discussion.
Yeah, any questions, anybody?
I do.
Yes.
I'm just wondering about this firm. Do we know, are we familiar with these people?
It's a local contractor. It's the only local contractor, the rest are from out of the area.
And you mean like our township?
Yes.
Oh,
I've seen their trucks.
NDW. Can you tell me again? who they are?
Dale Phillips.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
there's warranty on it.
There's warranty on it, and the only difference between this quote and the others is the hookup of the propane, but that can be done by us through another contractor for a lot less than the difference in the prices.
Yeah.
Great price.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Carried.
I like that price a long way from 50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, did all of council have an opportunity to read the report for urban agriculture?
Yes.
In regards to chickens there. Any comment, anybody?
They're dirty.
If you're gonna raise animals, raise them in the country.
And this is from, well, that's our address, I'm sorry.
Yep, the trouble is, North Bay is doing it there, Toronto's doing it there, everybody's doing it
I don't
there.
agree with it at all.
So how can we stop it here? And I think the individual there started in North Bay, most likely they tried it once or twice there and stopped it, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know what, we've got all kinds of rural residential areas and properties, and that's fine. But you start letting it into town, and it's like, it's bad enough we gotta deal with complaints about the Mennonites and their method of transportation. And yes, some people would be good with it and clean things up and not have smelly situations, but some people won't, so I don't agree with that.
On the other hand, it's changing times and we're thinking of more eating locally, growing locally, and I see other communities have had some stringent rules on that, and they recommend that we could do the same and give it a go. I don't know. I think we need to revisit it.
Well, then it's
Back
gonna
from
be
St.
more,
Charles.
it's gonna be more rules to police. though.
Susan, when you say stringent, were those rules lifted in some municipalities, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just
St.
saying,
Charles.
I'm just reading the different areas where they have it, and, the pens have to be, so far from the wells or the water source and things like that. They're very clear, and how many they can have.
Again, who's gonna inspect that?
Well, the trouble is there, you shouldn't allow them Webwood at all there because they've got
Well,
water table so
yeah,
high there.
that's the thing, eh?
Yeah, and some properties aren't big enough for a chicken coop to be even on their own property and be away from their water supply.
That's the,
Yeah.
Well, this says a Massey address, is this a person, a resident from Webber?
No.
no, but we're
the
talking
water
about
If it's
municipality.
for, yeah, if it's for the township, then,
They're not the only ones that have to.
That's the thing, we have two unique systems. And so when we're looking, like St. Charles, one example in that, those bylaws, they're very stringent, but there's only one area, and they don't have three different towns like we do. So
yeah,
that's,
the-
they either have urban or rural, and that's it, they don't have different structures, so.
and it's in one designated
Yeah,
area.
so
Pretty
going by
hard for
those,
us to
it's
do that.
difficult, you can't really do that, you would have to set separate ones for Wofford, separate ones for Massey, and separate ones for
Oh, and you have
Webster.
to.
Who wants to do that?
Yeah,
Which is doable though, I mean, if we had to.
And again, we have to police it.
Right, we
And
don't
so,
have a bylaw.
Right now, we have,
No,
we're piling stuff on the building inspector.
But he's for property standards only.
Well, I know that,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
can't. So, it's fine to say, well, we could do this, but then there's gonna be a cost.
well, the only thing is too, like you can say, an exception, like, parts of the township, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In regards to what parts, like you said, Webwood can't have it, and this is the reason why, and so it's absolutely not allowed, so,
Because of the wells, you mean, correct?
Right.
yeah.
And there was an issue, maybe 10 years ago last, they came to this table, it was lots of complaints. There was people right in Webwood with chickens, and the neighbors were all complaining
Yeah.
that it was a mess. You know? I
And,
clean up after my dogs several times a day. You can't clean up after chickens.
no.
Just doesn't work.
No,
And they
you're-
do carry a lot
No,
of.
but when they're,
So what happened in Webwood then? We made them
We
get rid
voted
of it.
against it. We asked the people to remove the chickens,
Yeah.
and if they wanted to have a rural lifestyle, they should move to the rural area.
That's right, that's how I feel.
Dale?
Les, did you say that some of these rules have been lifted in some of the municipalities along the North Shore?
No, no.
No.
North Bay North Bay just put it into existence.
They've accommodated the request
Yeah.
from people.
Meaning they've allowed it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I thought you said at
Yeah.
the very start of this conversation.
But they have water and sewers available inside the town.
Well, rurally, we all have wells, and people have chickens, you know, rurally.
well, it depends how
In
far apart.
Redwood, it's not
you
wells, it's just points, and some of them are 4 or 5 feet below the water.
Yeah.
No, I understand, but I mean, if chickens
They're
are
below
okay,
the ground
rural.
level.
So
chickens
tell
are
me
okay rurally
something.
with shallow wells.
People at Beauchamp, is that considered rural residential?
Yeah, no, agriculture is not permitted.
It's not,
Agriculture's not
okay.
permitted.
So it's based on your lot, like,
What you're,
how do we?
Town lots are typically very small compared to a rural lot. The minimum lot size for a rural is 1 hectare.
Okay, which
So
is how
you'll-
many acres?
2.5
2.5
acres.
Oh, okay,
So you'll be able to
Okay.
find enough distance between your drinking
Yeah.
water well and,
yeah,
So that might be a stipulation.
well,
Yeah, if you have more
Yeah.
than 1
Hectare
hectare of
lot.
That won't happen
land,
in town.
then it could
No.
be, but
Doesn't
there's
happen.
no, and
there's
so,
no-
and it's already at that, it's
Yeah.
already rural residential designation now.
It's
So-
too bad though, I mean, I get where they're coming
Yeah.
from and why they wanna do it.
So do I.
I do too, but I just see
But-
most of it's the younger ones that want that interest in that, and a lot of the older people don't want that around. They don't want the noise, they don't want the smell, they don't want
that's why they live
anything.
in town.
What
Yeah.
year do you think all these, this bylaw came into place? I had chickens and
It's
ducks
right-
when I was a kid.
2014, right there.
that's when it was last brought to council.
It was last brought to
No, I mean,
council.
when was it changed from wide open to,
Oh, quite a while back,
Yeah,
like in the
Well,
80s,
before
Susan,
that.
I think, or?
Oh, before that.
before that, yeah.
Yeah,
and I think,
played a big part in that.
because the township had a
Oh,
zoning
yeah.
bylaw before, in the 80s that didn't allow it in.
it's according to what you're zoned as, what you can have,
That's correct.
Yeah,
and what your neighbors will tolerate also
We
when
had
you're
a
in
lot
a
of
small
issues
town.
with a horse in Webwood, we had.
And the pig.
Yeah, and a pig, yeah.
And there's a fella at the east end of Narren that had a horse for his daughter.
Yeah.
And that was in the paper quite a bit, but as far as I understand about Narren's situation, he wasn't raising it for the meat. He was raising it as a pet, so
Yeah.
that horse stayed there for about a year and a half, I think.
yeah, the horses are all gone there now.
Yeah.
But,
Okay,
yeah,
so what do you wanna do with the
we went
chickens?
through a lot of
No,
things there.
I don't want, we don't have,
We have to make it.
Not at this time.
not at this time anyway.
Where's the closest
Well, I
township?
think our tax designations speak for that.
Zoning,
Rural residential, if you wanna.
Yeah.
Les, where's the closest town or city that this is allowed in? You know, would you know that through DSAP?
That's what I'm looking at, Dale. I'm looking at, we have 3 separate communities in our township where we're basing the information on what, like a town, or, you know, like, so we have 3 separate towns
I understand.
in 3 separate situations, so
But
it's really hard to do that.
My question is there somebody on the North Shore that's turned this around and, like,
but
again?
no,
Sorry?
I don't know.
Okay.
nobody's in our situation, I don't,
No.
or very,
There's very few that are amalgamated
Have
like
our
us and have
situation.
different situations, so.
But what you
Well,
said,
Sudbury's a prime example, they're Chelmsford and Azilwa
Yeah.
there, they might have did it, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you're allowed 5 in Sudbury.
5.
5 chickens, not.
In the city?
And no
Really?
roosters, no roosters, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
Well,
is
not a lot of
They have to
rooster
be in
though.
a fence, they have to be in a fenced area.
there's already a lot of roosters.
But they
Is
have
there-
sewers though too.
They have sewers, they have water supply.
Yeah.
is this something we can investigate a little bit before we come down with a decision?
Yes. If everybody's in agreement.
Sure.
Yeah, you'd see what other local towns are doing, at least make that effort.
Well, do we have to pass any resolution there, Kim? Can we just say we discuss it there,
Yeah, it's
and
just
they'll know that
discussion.
we discuss it there, and come back with some information? So, that's
Sounds,
people.
So you just want to know what other area municipalities have put in place if they have?
yeah, what the
Yeah.
regulations are, so.
I just thought if some of our neighboring communities had gone to a trial basis or something, I just kind of like, I believe what Susan stated about, you know, the times are changing, that's all, I just want to stay on board with that idea.
Well, Sudbury's a prime example there. How is it working in Sudbury?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard no complaints in
I
that.
don't know what the rulings are, is it
Well,
wide,
no,
is it
but
wide
Kim-
open there?
Kim will find out.
Yeah, that's, yeah, I mean, I'm not for it, but I'll listen, you know?
Yeah, hear
Yeah.
the information
Yeah.
before we decide.
So I have to open session.
Anybody got anything you wanna bring up here before we go into
yes.
closed session?
I had a complaint from Era Robinson about speeding, on River Street.
All the time on that street.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
They've done specific patrols, the OPP have done
okay, well then
specific
that's
patrols.
all we can ask.
They just
for
have to
that,
catch
then.
some.
And she
Yeah.
says, yes, that they've been at it again, like for a while, the OPP were kind of, you know, positioning themselves beside her house, but.
Well, and
Yeah,
that's at
something
least
like
we're, that's all we can do.
That's all. we can do.
I'll relay it back to the OPP again, that it's recurring.
I haven't seen it, but I've paid special attention there, I've parked there, I've parked on the other side. I haven't seen it night or day, but I'm not saying she's lying.
No,
There is people asking there to open the moat park up, down at the moat there. Kim and I just talked about this before the meeting there, there's people using it now, going down there, just a family and walking around there.
The beach.
And leaving there. If you open it up there, you're gonna have a crowd of people down there that you know in. Right now, you might see 1 or 2 cars down there, and you might see 4 people. I say, just leave it alone, same as our boat launch is working good there now.
so what do you mean by open it up?
No, you mean leave it alone.
All of our parks are closed right now,
Yeah,
and they
Officially.
were closed under
Yes.
provincial order.
Yeah.
Provincial order was amended to allow the reopening of some, doesn't mean they have to open, it's at municipal discretion.
and we all seen how that went in Toronto.
That's right.
Very
Well-
badly.
And
On
Vancouver.
the busiest day, down at the mouth, it's
Yeah.
never crowded like that.
That's Toronto.
Yeah,
Right.
so
But
you just
it's not-
leave it alone,
Yeah.
people are staying all
Yeah,
apart
it's not
there and
cleaned up
doing their
yet
business.
anyway.
For
What?
now.
It's not cleaned up yet anyway.
No, I totally understand there, but there's still people want to.
Yeah, I know.
So is everybody in favor, just leave it alone, people
Yeah.
are going down there,
Yeah.
2 or 3 families there.
That's their choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a good.
Yeah. One other thing, I'm really enjoying getting correspondence by email. The more of this that you guys can send, the
Yeah.
better. And I mean, I don't wanna put a load
No,
on you,
it's possible.
but if it's going in the photocopier and you can hit
Yeah,
send,
I can
it's like,
scan them, yep.
send it all to me. Then I can just read it as it comes and, you know,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I'm in favor.
Cheryl, you got-
The Walford cemeteries need some work, and I know I'm not talking about the fence, I'm talking about some of the tombstones. Are in need of repair, some are sinking. I don't know who we usually get to take care of that kind of stuff. I know some of them are on, like, pieces have fallen off and need to be put back on, and you can't use silly putty or whatever it is. And some are sinking. I don't know what happens with that.
Yeah.
Okay, we, in looking through the provincial directives, monument companies are not listed as essential services.
Okay.
We have, I've been making a list of those monuments that are leaning and need to be straightened. Those that are in danger of falling over will be laid down. Okay, if they're repairable, we will do the best to get them repaired.
Okay.
We have sent, we usually get Elliott Monuments to come and do some of that work, because they're fairly reasonable and they're knowledgeable of our cemeteries. we've reached out to find out if he has any idea as to when, or if the ground conditions are even good enough for him, because if it's still too wet in the ground, because you gotta, you know, your foundations go down into the ground, so if it's still too wet for that kind of thing, you don't wanna do a repair and then have it leaning again within, you know, a year.
Yeah.
So we are making a list, and then Ruth and I will probably do a road trip and go and check them all out. Also, the maintenance company that does cuts the grass, they also keep us informed of anything that needs attention. So
Okay.
it's not that we're not doing anything with the current situation with COVID-19, we have to tread carefully.
That's
And
what I
so we're
thought.
just,
And we have reached out, sorry,
Yes.
Pat.
yes,
And this right now is he's very, very busy.
Yeah.
So he told me if we give him the list, he can't just go and fix everything all at once.
He
But
can go
as
as
time
needs.
permits, so I know some people have been chomping at the bit. And Pat and I keep a
That's why I'm
file on
asking,
them,
yeah.
and like she says, we make a list, so.
Okay,
We have already reached out, and that's kind of where we're at right now, so hopefully they start happening. Cause some are repeat offenders, I like to say,
Yeah.
like Pat said, you level them and 2 years later, they're sinking again.
depends on where they're buried.
But the trouble is, he wants to do all the easy stuff, and we're like doing hard.
He did a great job at the Lee Valley Cemetery, I was out there. He did a great job. That's a few years, well, many years ago now.
Anyway,
and there's also.
I have an answer for
Yeah.
those that are,
And because of the provincial directive, there's a limit of 5 people allowed in the cemetery.
Oh, there's
Except for-
hundreds though.
they're not complaining now.
5 people above ground,
Yeah,
except for funerals, they have a
Yeah.
limit of 10.
yeah.
So we kind of still are, still under that provincial directive,
Party
so
at the cemetery.
do the best.
Deal?
With the cemeteries being the topic, I had a ratepayer approach me saying that, at the, again, the Lee Valley Cemetery, a couple different visitors to the cemetery had dogs that were kept loose, and I said I would make mention of it. And the resident was hoping maybe a sign could just say, could you please keep your dog on a lead? That this ratepayer has a couple dogs nearby, and it just turned into something that worried them. And of course, you know, dogs are snoopy, so they didn't know what to think about the dogs having a crap in there, but the main thing was they were just concerned about safety, that's all. So, is that something we could put signage up for, just to say, please keep your dog tied, or just something simple without making another big rule, if you know what I mean?
Ruth's good at laminated posters.
Yeah.
This is not a
Yeah,
pet
it-
cemetery.
Just to save money.
Oh, I mean,
We've been doing that, so. we
Yeah.
could
And that
do
would be
something
fine,
like that.
just
Yeah.
something that way there, when people arrive, they might see it, and then there's a reason for them to say, okay, you know what, next time I won't
People
bring
do.
it out.
They do.
People bring their dogs everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere.
Okay, any other questions, anybody?
One other thing, I just wanna keep people abreast of things. The library will be offering curbside
Yeah, that's great, that's great news.
starting
Yeah.
this week in Webwood and in Massey.
That's
And
good.
Rashad figured he could handle it. We're gonna bring back Ruth and,
Tracy?
no, not Tracy just
Linda.
yet. Ruth and Linda. And it'll be limited hours, but it's a beginning, and it'll give them a chance to get organized. I don't think we're far down the road from being open, but there'll be
Yeah.
a lot of different rules.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, anybody got any other
Yeah, I'm
questions?
just, it's not really, it's just something a few older people brought up to me, their concerns with all the COVID and stuff like that, you know, hopefully the seniors advisory committee or council or economic development will start looking at some housing kind of things or something. Everybody older is getting a little scared, and they're not getting any bump up
Yeah.
as far as money and that, and they've had to deal with a lot more. I know myself, I cook meals, I do laundry, I do whatever I can for them, but they're not being able to afford to live on their own. So
we really gotta look at this
And
area.
that is the problem, and
Yeah.
that's actually the problem with the developers too, because when
Yes.
they build it, the prices that they want for rent are not in their price range, and that's what we're running into, right?
And also the other thing that I thought of while I was discussing this with a few of the older ladies was the fact that they don't wanna be in an apartment, you know? They wanna keep their, if they have to live by themselves, they have this humongous house and they wanna downsize, but they have nothing to, so.
Yeah, there's no
So,
options if
there's
they
no
wanna stay in
options,
town.
so
Yeah.
that's just a thought anyway. I just thought I'd bring it forward one day when we can
When we
continue on.
can start meeting again, then
Yeah.
that's certainly something that we can bring up on the agenda.
I'll be able to do that now.
Well, let's look at the possibility
Yeah. Oh,
of
yeah.
securing some
Yeah.
land then and let's get the wheels rolling.
Well, DSAB looking at that, ain't us?
Yeah, was like we'd be building in 20 or 21 years.
Yeah.
Where's
In
that?
town here, in the township,
No,
in Espanola, of course, oh
well,
yeah, why can't they do it here?
you go by demand, yeah, and where is demand?
The thing is, this is the problem,
Numbers.
because these people aren't coming out and saying, I would like to sell my house and probably put that money in towards
Well, yeah.
buying like a condo, or, you know, if they were
There
available.
needs to be a commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that getting to them to that step is even, it's like a cooperative, you know?
It's hard, it's
Yeah.
hard for anybody to take
Yeah, because
that
they wanna live on their own, but they don't wanna be stuck in an apartment.
Somebody would
Well,
really
and
champion
that's
that.
But the private investor wants $3,000 to $5,000,
Right, yeah.
and there's no way you
Yeah.
can,
Then there's those things for seniors, I don't know if it's robbery or not, mind you, I believe it's endorsed by the Legion, where you can set up a deal where you get money for your home, and I'm assuming when you pass away, then they own a chunk of it. But I know it's something that some
Oh, that
people,
reverse mortgage?
yeah, some
Yeah.
people in the cities have done that to stay home. Why is the head shaking? I don't know much about it.
Well,
What's the issue?
It's a
I'm just
personal
wondering.
issue, I just stay away from it because,
It's a business, right?
It's a business.
And their
Yeah, it's not-
business
it's
is
not-
getting
yeah.
yeah.
ownership of your house.
It's not a good
So that
deal.
when you pass away or move away, now you've gotta come up with the amount.
Either you pay off what you owe
Well,
them, or they get paid.
Oh, that's what I
It's-
understood was if,
it's-
when you pass away, the home is sold and then they're given their portion back with interest, that's
No,
all.
well, I don't know about the one with the Legion, but.
Well, it's that one there.
okay,
The
okay,
private-
any other concerns?
I just wanted some clarification on the boat launches. Which ones are owned by the township? The one at the mouth, the one on the river road, the one at Blue Heron,
Lacloche Lake.
one at La Cloche Lake,
Marble Lake.
and one at
Maple Lake.
Waterfalls.
Waterfalls is not maintained by, or looked after by us.
And
I
we know
thought
that
so.
we're putting repairs into the
Correct.
mouth, and I heard La Cloche needs some repairs too, right?
Yeah, because they separate.
Yeah, yeah. And Cal was saying at Blue Heron, but I think he always talked to Jacques and Glenn about getting some fill there, so.
We had to wait until the water level went.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, that's
It's
what he
still-
said.
still
Yeah, he
too
was
high,
still,
yeah.
It's
We
still
can't-
high.
it's going down though, it's
Yeah,
going down
but we
pretty good.
have to wait until we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
put gravel in.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, he's called here a
Yeah.
few times.
yeah, good.
Who was that, Susan? Cal, did you say?
Cal at Blue Heron,
Oh, that must be the owner then, is it?
yeah.
They just got there not long.
Okay, anything else before going to closed session?
No.
Be it resolved to move into closed session. Be it resolved to move into closed session to consider litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. Pat, you'll move it there?
I so move.
Glendy, you'll second it there? All in favor? Resolve this closed session be adjourned and the regular meeting be resumed. All in favor? Pat, you'll move it, Darren, and Cheryl second it there?
Yes, I move.
I'll second.
Motion carried. Anything else, anybody tonight there? Kim, got anything else?
No, I'm good, thanks.
No.
I do have one little thing I wanna mention. I've had a couple calls to, just for counselors to keep an ear open for seniors. Some of them need assistance doing their lawns and stuff like that, this summer. Some maintenance or whatever, so if you hear of anybody out there that is able to help for a half decent price.
There was some young lad in town that was doing that, I'm not sure.
I had a couple calls asking me if I knew anybody. Yeah,
that because they're unable to, like over 80 and they can't do their lawn this year, they used to have people and, so just to keep an ear out for our residents.
And it's good
Yeah.
employment. Jeff Robinson's son did that for probably 3
Yeah,
summers.
just keep an ear out to, you know, to hand off information or pass it along on the website if you're anybody.
Yes,
All right.
there was a young lady, 80 years old, up in the house the other night there, and I asked if there's any funding there to help seniors.
No, and the guy got the same phone call. Yeah, unfortunately, but even if we can help them a little bit, you know.
And we see what fraud took place with, what, it's 1 million people now have defrauded for that curb or CERB. So if they've only gone the 1 month, that's 2 billion, 2 months, 4 billion. I know a person that's gone 3 and has no right to have the money.
Yeah.
And, you know, they didn't put into it, the people that pay into the thing.
Well,
So here we are.
the seniors aren't eligible for that.
No, but they put in all their lives, they paid taxes in
Yeah.
most cases, and
Yeah.
now we look at these people that have
Yeah.
been living on a system, not supporting it, and they're taking from it, and it bothers me, because,
Get caught.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
but-
there's always people that are doing that one way or another.
but how do you correct it? Watch, nobody will get charged with fraud, and I read in the paper that it takes 1 to 2 business days to process one of the fraudulent people. So what are we looking at? If any of us at this table did that at the end of the year, then we'd get a nice little note to say, you know, you weren't eligible, please pay this back, or maybe you were eligible for part. But these people are absolutely in no way. Anyways, it's bothering me because, I mean, it's party zone for some of these people, and again, here we are. I don't know how long this is gonna last.
Well, and we're gonna have that on
Well, they had stated that it was
a
for 4 months
commercial level as
total.
well, what we,
That's
Or
out of our
not.
control though.
I believe they'll amend that though, don't you think, with the way things are going? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's gonna be amended and extended.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever, it's just, like I say, it's just bothering me. I was told all you gotta do is phone a number and type in your friggin' social insurance. 2 days
Yes.
later, there's a check sitting in your mailbox.
But they're going to get them through income tax, they're gonna hold back. I guess when you go to renew your, it's gonna be like child support payments. If you don't do your child support, when you go to renew your license,
Garnishing
you don't
your
get it.
wages.
They garnish your wages.
Okay,
It's supposed to be something like
Okay,
that, but
what-
we have no
Okay.
control.
what's going on in the country? Is everybody comfortable to carry on with meetings there?
yeah,
Or do you wanna go back to the old way
No,
of doing it?
Staff is fine with it.
I'm fine. I don't know that we can even think about committee
fine.
meetings.
It-
No, I'd rather not.
No,
this time.
committee's gonna have to.
No committees there.
It's
Yeah.
gonna
Just
have to
stay-
be us, that's it.
So Glenda suggested we look around or we keep our ears open for workers. I'd like to see us keep our eyes and ears open to see if we can't purchase or obtain a piece of property so we can get moving, get something going as far as seniors housing goes. We
Okay,
need the
so-
piece of property, build it and they will come.
Right now, at this point in time, just because of the way situations are, we don't have any signs in the windows, you know, about older people being okay and stuff. I don't think that's a necessary thing because we are a township, but I do think it is necessary to kind of keep an eye on people's
Reach out.
lawns and garbage and stuff like that, just to see if they're doing okay. Because they're isolated,
I
depressed,
wasn't
whatever.
quite, I was just saying
Yeah.
that goes hand in hand.
That's more my concern.
I'd like to see us
To make
just,
sure that they're okay, if, give them a call, see if they need something from the grocery store, you know, little things like that go a long way. And there's a lot that won't reach out, so you gotta reach out to them.
Okay, Pat, you had any question?
Yeah, I suggested to Ruth that we get the arena staff to bring a couple of more tables here, because we're still pretty close together here,
Yeah, somewhat.
for social distancing.
and that's why I didn't use the bathroom, because I would've had to walk by people.
Well-
She thought that was a good idea, she's been looking.
Yeah, we should get another table, get rid of,
Double, yeah, maybe too thick.
Maybe one go, another one and one go this way or something.
yeah,
Two more
because
tables.
they're talking about their September again there, so this could be there all year.
We'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
into this still
I'm sure.
next year. I mean, we've been lucky up north.
Okay, be resolved this meeting be adjourned to the next regular meeting of the College Chair. Susan, you move it, Chair?
I'll move it.
Pat, will second it, Chair?
I'll second.
All in favor? Carried.
Is the mask hot?